in the mountains. The some of you all may not be familiar with the camp, and Laurel Ridge is the Moravian Church Southern Province's camp and conference center. It is located off of Highway 18 in North Carolina in the Blue Ridge Mountains. And in 2022, we will begin our 62nd year of summer camp. We have year-round offerings as well. And most any type of mountain retreat or outing that you would like, we can take care of you, from a single outing to a family to a large retreat. We have a year-round facility that will hold up to a little over 90 folks. As you all that are on the call, but others may not know, Home Moravian Church has always been a great supporting entity of Laurel Ridge. We've always supported things since Laurel Ridge got started. Currently on our board at Laurel Ridge, in addition to myself, there is Ray Gatlin and Francis Beasley, who are both board members, and Tony Disher, who was whose board term just expired in December. So he's just rolling off. So we've had good representation on the board as well. Tonight, our staff is going to provide you some information about our 2021 financial support, our capital support, and also update you on our upcoming Building Community Capital campaign. The staff that is with us tonight is Trey Fordham, our director, Michael Saltell, our assistant director, Scarlett Dowdy, our program manager, and I think somewhere in here, Teresa Koo jumped in here. I don't think anybody at Home Church knows her, or she might be a Home Church member. I don't know, but Teresa is the office manager at Laurel Ridge. So with that, they're going to do a few presentations, talk about things. And I'm going to jump back in and help them a little bit down the road. But for now, please welcome the staff. And I'm going to turn it over to Trey for him to pick it up from there.
Thanks, Art. And I bring you greetings from a very snowy, cold, white mountaintop. We did get about 10 inches of snow the other day, and that includes about an inch of ice in the middle of it. So I'm not sure what we would have got if it hadn't got that little bit of sleep. But and again, I do want to say thank you for letting us be here with y'all tonight. You always make time every year for us, and we are excited to be here and be with you and be able to share a little bit about Laurel Ridge. We'd like to start tonight, though, with a song, Your Love is Amazing, and Scarlett's going to share that with us, and then I'll give you a few updates, a little history of 2021, and then we'll start talking about 2022 and beyond.
You know, God's love is amazing, so we're going to start off this morning with that song, Your Love is Amazing. Your love is amazing, steady and unchanging. Your love is a mountain firm beneath my feet. Your love is a mystery, how you gently lift me when I am surrounded. Your love carries me. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing. Hallelujah, hallelujah, hallelujah. Your love makes me sing. Your love is surprising, I can feel it rising, all the joy that's growing deep inside of me. Every time I see you, all your goodness shines through. I can feel this God song rising up in me. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
And if you couldn't tell, that was Anissa Gatlin, front row on the guitar up there with Brad Bennett. So one of your own. Yay, Anissa. We are excited again to be here. 2021 did start a little slow, as we expected. And with all the unknowns surrounding the pandemic, we were hopeful it'd be better than 2022, though. Camp planning took on whole new undertones as we needed to program a camp experience that would still be impactful, yet exciting, while we brought all the new safety protocols prohibiting direct contact amongst anybody. So being in community took a whole new meaning. But by the end of the summer, Scarlett, 120 volunteers, 7 M staff, and 2 mission camp staff were still able to provide experiences to 468 campers. The one number that really points to how much Laurel Ridge impacts our province and the love the Moravians of the province have for Laurel Ridge is the 120 counselors, cooks, and hosts gave over 18,000 hours of volunteer service in 2021. I'll say that again, 18,000 hours. Humbling. Your love is amazing, is absolutely right. Financially, Laurel Ridge, we held our own in 2021. We did budget a lower amount than a normal year, fearing that COVID would impact all the groups and revenues, which it did. Many groups still feared gathering in the enclosed spaces, including all of the outside camp rentals. They all chose to wait to come back this year, we hope. But with that, every cloud does have its silver lining. Without any other groups here, we're able to spread out our camps, and we offered multiple camps for every age group. And by doing this, we actually surpassed all of our budgeted camp numbers, and we covered all the losses from the outside groups not coming too. So through a little bit of belt tightening, some creative programming, and the generosity of donors, and by God's grace, we not only survived 2021, but we were able to begin replenishing our reserve account that 2022 pretty well decimated. We were able to meet all of our financial obligations last year. Our annual fund for 2021 ended with 438 gifts that totaled almost $285,000. Our building community campaign is chugging right along. Michael's going to talk a little bit more about that later. But as we begin to roll out our public phase and begin speaking to churches, and we have received gifts and pledges in our private phase of more than $550,000. So we're starting this year well into our second third of getting to our goal. When you hear from Michael about the upcoming campaign and the projects, I ask you to remember one thing. Michael, the board, and I are committed to not only not incur any new debt, but we also plan to pay off and have plans to pay off all of Laurel Ridge's debt to the province. We believe in this so vehemently that we have begun making monthly payments to the province, including a one-time lump sum payment in August of $100,000. But let's hold on the capital campaign, because Scarlett would like to share a little bit about our upcoming summer camp and programs this year. So Scarlett.
Good evening. I'm Scarlett Dowdy, the Program Manager at Laurel Ridge. I want to give you an update on the 2022 camping season at Laurel Ridge. But first, I want to take a minute and tell you about a special weekend we have planned called Winter Journey. It takes place February the 18th through the 20th, and the tracks that you can choose from are Forest Bathing by Henry Fansler, Pastels and Creative Writing by the Reverend Bill Gramley, and Sing All, a study on worship and congregational song with the Reverend Mason and the Reverend Maggie Canty. Worship will be led by the Reverend Linda Seipel. Registration is now open for all camps. Parents can go to our website and register online. If you register between now and February 15th, you will automatically receive a $15 discount. Your church does pay for half of the camp fee. Again this year, we're dealing with COVID protocol. It will be much the same as last year, but I will keep everyone updated if things change. For the good, we hope. We will be asking for a vaccination card or a 3-day PCR test 72 hours prior to arriving at camp. Masks will be worn inside of buildings and when singing. This year, our camp verse for 2022 is from Ephesians 2:8. God's grace has saved you because of your faith in Christ. Your salvation doesn't come from anything you do. It is God's gift. Our pre-junior camps are for children that have completed first or second grade. The theme for pre-junior 1 is Let the Children. The deans are Margaret Norris and the Reverend Russell Williams. The theme for pre-junior 2 is The Good Shepherd. The deans are Gail Thayard and Lisa Thompson Weber. Junior camps are for children that have completed 3rd, 4th, or 5th grade. The theme for Junior 1 is Blessed are the Peacemakers. The deans are the Reverend Christy Clore and Suzanne Donders. The theme for Junior 2 is Junior 2's Got Talent. The deans are Heidi and Daniel Everhart. Creative Arts Camp is for campers that have completed 3rd all the way up to 8th grade. This camp takes place at Higgins Lodge. The theme is A Heart for Serving. The deans are Jamie Van Dock and Joyce Vance. The campers will get to participate in handbells, singing, storytelling, story and stretch, and visual arts skills. Middle high camps are for campers that have completed 6th, 7th, or 8th grade. The theme for Middle High 1 is It's a Bird, It's a Plane, It's Jesus. And the deans are Eric Wall and Amber Rabot. The theme for Middle High 2 is JOY, Jesus, Others, Yourself. The deans for this camp are the Reverend John G. Wrights and Kendall Foltz. Senior High Camp is for campers that have completed 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th grade. The theme for Senior High is Third Day. The deans are the Reverend Riddick Weber and Lauren Deal. We have 3 weeks of mission camp this year for campers that have completed 6th all the way up to 12th grade. At these camps, you attend with your youth group. The theme this year is GRACE, Grace, Gifted for God, Created for Good. The leaders are the Reverend Chris Giesler, Bishop Sam Gray, and Zach Ruth. Family camp is for families of all ages. We host one of those in the spring and one in the fall. Families will get to participate in all camp activities and see what it's like to be at camp. During the spring family camp on Saturday, May the 28th, we will have our first Ridge Fest with live bands, food, and other activities. Be sure to look for more information as we continue to plan for this event. And those of you who are willing to give a week or weekend to Laurel Ridge, I am always looking for good counselors for all camps. If you or you know someone that you think would make a really good counselor, please let me know. Visit our website for more information, and my contact number and my email are located under the tab labeled Contact, and then click on Our Staff. I am looking forward to a great year and hope to see you on the mountain soon. Thank you and have a good evening.
I think Michael's going to share a little bit about our capital camp. Any questions about camp this year? Those codes you saw, If you have campers, the parents know those. Those are, they put those in when they register the kids, and that lets us know which church they go to, and the churches again support us by helping pay for the campers to be there. So, Michael?
Before I get there, I'd like to set it up for Art, because I think Art's going to take just a second to explain some of the things about our board direction, which is going to set us up very nicely for some things I'd like to talk about with the capital campaign.
Thanks, Michael. I mentioned earlier that we do have a number of home church folks on the board, including myself. Laurel Ridge, we're 60 plus years now. Our mission has been for a number of years for Laurel Ridge to be a mountain place set apart for the forming of disciples of Jesus Christ, who will live and learn in community and serve the world. That is our focus, and that's what we intend to continue to do for the next 60 plus years. How we do that, how will we get there? I think that's going to be interesting as we take the steps and we move forward. We're going to be adjusting to the needs of our campers, our stakeholders, making sure that we listen to God's call for the camp and take the camp in that direction. We have a board planning session scheduled for this upcoming weekend. That weekend, we are really working hard. We'll be working hard on our next 3 to 5 years of goals and objectives. But in the forefront of that planning, as was mentioned earlier, is our goal for Laurel Ridge to be a debt-free camp in 5 years. That and that has to be one of our main focuses so that we can help the next 60 years beyond that to continue to grow and be able to do things with funds besides worry about debt. We want to execute on our capital projects that Michael's getting ready to talk about. We've got to stay focused there. We've got to make sure we stay within the budgets there and that we get our funding for the Building Community Capital Campaign. So those are kind of the guiding North Stars, I think, that the board will be looking at over the next period of time. Michael's now going to pick that up and talk a little more about the specifics of the capital campaign and the capital projects within that campaign.
Sure. Thank you, Art. So there's a couple things I wanted to share with y'all this evening. The first, I'll piggyback off of something that Art just said, and that the board is focusing on the next 3 to 5 years and how that 3 to 5 years is going to set us up for the next 60. This capital campaign, since its initial, when it was an idea, the hope was that we could utilize this opportunity, this period of time, to create what will be, what we can do at Laurel Ridge and what the future holds. And so as we move through this process, this Building Community Capital Campaign process, we're taking the initiative to not only renovate the Bishop Wing at Higgins Lodge, and not only renovate Tice Lodge, and not just put solar power on those facilities, and not just pay off debt, and not just build reserves. All these things come together in this nice, pretty picture. We put a nice bow on it, and it's this launching pad. It's a foundation. And it sets us up for the next 60 years, the next generation. Next 2 generations have this opportunity to come to a place that's not only financially sustainable and an asset of the Moravian Church, but a place that sets an example for other organizations around the province, knowing that being good environmental stewards and being good financial stewards is an important part of our mission at Laurel Ridge as we carry out the mission that was set before us in the early 90s to create disciples of Jesus Christ. So I'd like to take just a couple minutes. I'll breeze through this campaign and some of the details of it very quickly. I don't want to bore you with it. And plus, Trey stole some of my thunder. I had some heavy hitters talk about paying off debt. This was good stuff. But I'll make sure that y'all hear some of the high level things, some kind of a 40,000 foot overview of the campaign and the goals of the campaign as a whole. And y'all have an opportunity to look at our website down the line just a little bit if you'd like to gain some more clarity around some of the projects. But ultimately, like I already said, there are a few points that are important to us at this time at Laurel Ridge, and that is capital projects, the reduction of debt, and the building of cash reserves. Because of Laurel Ridge's opportunity over the last few years to hunker down, be frugal, you know, I think Trey said tightening the purse strings earlier, it set us up over the last 3 years to do well. We were able to put some money away and fund a majority of the goal that was set in 2018 as far as reserves are concerned. We've also made the commitment to the province to pay off 100% of our debt. We are very serious about that goal. That is a goal that we have decided is going to contribute significantly to the future of Laurel Ridge, and we have a plan to accomplish that. And then finally, capital projects at Tice Lodge and Higgins Lodge. Those two facilities will receive 100% of our attention as far as capital projects are concerned during this time, where we're going to fully renovate Tice Lodge across the board. It's brand new fixtures, energy efficient appliances, the removal of baseboard heating, installation of solar power, ultimately creating a facility that is not only more comfortable for people and encourage those people to come back and new people to attend, but also making it a more financially viable facility that makes more sense for us to operate on a regular basis. The Bishop Wing on the other side, which actually is higher on our priority list, is again, it's a creature comforts renovation. It's making sure that the Bishop Wing is where people want to stay. We want to create an opportunity and a facility for people to say, I don't know if, well, I can't really tell the difference between a facility that was built in 1977 and a facility that was built in 2007. We want them to have an opportunity to choose. That gives us an opportunity to host more than 2 groups at one time. Again, increasing creature comforts and the financial sustainability of the facility. And then finally, as far as capital campaign projects are concerned, the highest priority on our list, solar power installation. Solar power installed at Tice Lodge and Higgins Lodge, not Bishop Wing in particular, but Higgins. In placing solar power on those facilities, it makes us money. It pays for itself over a number of years. And in being able to install solar power or alternative energy on the mountain, it not only helps the bottom line, but it helps us create the publicity that we need to relate to our guests and our visitors, that being good environmental stewards, as I mentioned earlier, is important to us at Laurel Ridge. All these things come together to create what is important for Laurel Ridge at the moment. There are lots of great ways that you can give to the capital campaign. We have of course, I think Scarlett actually just put in the chat for everyone. Thank you very much for that, Scarlett. There are opportunities to give online to the capital campaign if you're interested in giving in that way. If you're interested in giving of your time and talents, right now this capital campaign committee is a tight-knit group of 3, and we are working very hard to make sure that this happens, and pulling together and making phone calls and all the stuff that comes along with that. So if that's something that you're interested in contributing to, feel free to reach out to myself, Trey, or Scarlett. All of our contact information is available on the website as well. This is just a very, very special time to be a part of Laurel Ridge. I grew up here as a camper, and then as a summer staff person. I've been a counselor, and now I have an opportunity to be up here as a full-time staff, not just because I enjoy being here. While I do enjoy being here, I am here to impact and influence the next generation of people that have an opportunity to come up to Laurel Ridge and be a part of this amazing place. And so it is a very special project, and it's close to my heart. I'm putting a lot of effort into it, as Trey and Scarlett and Art we all are. And I hope that that's evident in the way that I speak. I'm super excited about it. And I hope that you all find a way to not just contribute financially, but to find a way to be a part of Laurel Ridge during this time, because we're a rocket ship ready to take off and influence another generation of just people, of God's children. So thank you for the opportunity to talk a little bit. If you have any questions, I would love to answer those. It is one of the few things that I am good at the moment, is answering questions and talking about the capital campaign. So I will kind of open the floor. If you feel more comfortable, feel free to throw those in the chat, or unmute yourself. And this doesn't have to be questions pertaining only to capital campaign. You have a full panel of Laurel Ridge people that are willing to answer any questions that you may have.
I think it's just awfully encouraging what you have shared about financial matters in Laurel Ridge. When we understand that many denominations are having to sell their camps. It's just a wonderful delight to hear what's the progress that's being made.
And I can speak.
I agree. I'm sorry, go ahead, Michael.
I was just going to say, all that can be attributed to the staff that we have on the mountain right now. And for the last 5 years, Trey did an amazing job setting us up for the last 3 or 4 years and gives us an opportunity to just run with it. Art.
And on top of that, on top of having a wonderful staff, which we do, it's also what we talked about and what Trey talked about, and Scarlett in her video, you know, the number of hours of volunteers. If we had to pay for summer counselors at 18,000 hours, you know, for the summer, you know, the camp would then be in a much different mindset. So, you know, it's really a lot of the volunteers that make Laurel Ridge. In addition, you know, the staff does a lot of work and they're wonderful, but the volunteers is what keeps it going day to day, and making sure that we have successful camps.
Art, you're absolutely right. We couldn't do it without our volunteers. There was a question about the solar, and Michael, you want to answer that? It does not go into batteries. We are tied back into the system with Blue Ridge Electric Membership Corp, and where they actually pay us for our solar. Is that right, Michael? You can explain that better.
Correct. Yeah, we've dealt with a couple different vendors and explored different opportunities. There are a couple of different vendors, and I intentionally reached out to different individuals so that they could provide a quote that would supply us with a different style system. One in particular that was the first that we obtained put the energy back into the grid, and we are then compensated for the energy that we create. We have not looked at someone that specialized in battery storage, knowing that battery storage is extremely expensive for the amount of power that we would probably generate on a regular basis, especially over at Higgins Lodge. But probably my favorite and a little out there was a company that came to quote a system that would use solar power to operate a water pump water from the Higgins Lake to the summer camp lake, where we could then store a surplus amount of water and then flow water through an electrical motor, a turbine, just like the Hoover Dam, and utilize the stored water as stored energy. They have never executed that and decided that Laurel Ridge would be a great candidate for that. So it's yet to be seen the actual process or some of the equipment that we move forward with. But right now, it makes the most sense for Laurel Ridge to funnel that energy or electricity back into the grid.
It's not always fun being the guinea pig.
No, I just wanted to thank you, Art, for all of your hard work that you've done on that, and we're excited about Laurel Ridge, particularly going debt free. Sounds like a good idea. but also I worked on pump storage projects for the Bureau of Reclamation back in 1960. So that's not a new idea, but it is certainly an idea that is finally, can come to make some fruition. But the thing that we are just really excited about is getting Laurel Ridge back to where we know that it can be, as far as is a place where people can come to just enjoy the creation and the things that we've seen, that we all know about. And thank goodness we're going to have an opportunity to be able to preserve that for future generations. And thank you and Trey and all of the staff there for what you're doing to that regard.
Yeah. Well, thank you, John. And, and I think I would really be remiss to not take this particular opportunity to say that Francis Beasley joining our board has been truly a godsend when it comes to our funding and how to raise funds at Laurel Ridge. She has done a tremendous amount of work on this campaign. She has worked with Trey and Michael one-on-one for countless hours. and really has done an awesome job for us as a very, very active board member. And so that's really been a great change for us. And that's really, I think, really helping us turn this corner in our funding and our donations and moving towards the debt-free camp.
Art or anyone, I was just going to ask, I may be jumping the gun a little bit, but do you have plans yet for getting into the churches and making them aware of
the
the campaign and the need for the debt reduction and et cetera?
Sure. Michael, I'm gonna let you take that. You've been working more in those details.
Sure. So as I mentioned, that initial campaign committee is fairly small. In one of our meetings about a month ago, we made an effort to assign each congregation and a number of organizations and small family groups for each of us to reach out to. We do have plans officially to transition from a private phase, or kind of a slow transition where they overlap more or less, but a transition to our public phase in the new year. So as we'll use the next 6 months, January through June, or pre-2022 synod, assuming that everything goes well and we are able to report our successes to 2022 synod. We will use the next 6 months to get into congregations. I know Trey's had an opportunity to speak at a couple. We've made an effort to get into a couple different organizations, but you'll start hearing more and more in congregations as we move through the new year. And hopefully, as we start working into opportunities just like this one, where we sit across, in front of a computer screen, more people have the comfort and the information and resources to be able to go out and communicate the efforts that are being made to their friends and family.
And we had a comment or question about composting, and we do have a lot of food. We do work on with kids about not taking more than they're going to eat. We did a great job of composting when Dan and Rosemary Jane were here, but we have lost some staff since then. And it has, sadly to say, we have not had that opportunity to compost. And we now, for the last summer and probably again this year, we are having to go to single serve packets for a lot of things, which again just adds to the things we really don't want to do. But to be a COVID safe, we've had to kind of balance those. So we're trying to find stuff that at least when it goes into the landfill instead of our composting is biodegradable. So we've gone to some biodegradable cups and things as best we can, but we have not done the composting, and that is part of we have a donor that's talking to us about some education possibilities. I'm not sure what we can or can't do, but that would be part of it, is see what we can do. They're very interested in those types of entities and experiences.
Well, that's good to know. And there are people who are interested in putting in people power to help with that as it goes along. Thanks.
Thank you.
Paul, did you have a question earlier? I think I saw you raise your hand. Paul Morris.
Yeah, I was wondering if you have an idea or could share what options there are for, you're talking about solar power. Those require collectors, and they are sometimes an imposition on space and programming and environmental impact. Where do you project putting the collectors? Have you thought about, can you describe, most of us know enough about Laurel Ridge to have a pretty good idea what you're thinking about.
There'll be rooftop on the Higgins and Tice lodges.
Okay, so it won't be involving any cutting of trees or in program space or anything like that, huh?
No.
So
Maybe
really,
some minimal tree trimming, but I don't think we have that issue at either Higgins or Tice right now.
and what you're thinking about really is generating enough for your own use rather than adding to the grid most of the time. Is that correct?
We anticipate that we will offset our energy consumption at Tice nearly 100%. So we will not have, it works out very very closely with the size of system that we can accommodate on the roof of Tice and the anticipated electricity consumption at Tice Lodge matches up fairly well. One thing that I'd like to consider as we move through the project at Higgins is to build a similar size system, one that's modular and can be added to over time. So expecting that we can afford a certain size system up front, and then depending on how the campaign progresses or what the 2023 annual operating budget looks like, there may be an opportunity to make that system larger. Again, ultimately contributing to more electricity generated.
And we are trying to put, I'm sorry, go ahead, Paul.
Are you also considering other renewables? I heard you talking about the water thing, and I think that's possible. I think it's more possible in the future. And there's also, I've noticed some wind up there from time to time. Have you folks thought about those considerations?
We have thought about wind, and that's not gotten a lot of excitement from people to put any kind of wind turbine or wind collection systems, for lack of a better word, up here. But something Michael mentioned briefly was we are adding passive hot water. So we will preheat the hot water before it goes into instant hot water heaters. So again, getting rid of the 50-gallon tanks that we have all over the place that are heating water 365 days out of the year when we don't have people a lot of times during the week. And so with the instant hot water and then the water being preheated in collection tanks and running through things. And then we are also trying to get everything off the ground. We do not have the flattest terrain around here, and there are a lot of rocks and the mowers and those things. So we're trying to make sure we can protect the investment as best we can too. So again, what we can get off the ground, it doesn't take up program space, and then really preserves the life of a lot of the systems we're looking at.
The water system that I was hearing Michael talk about was pumping water from the lower lake up into the upper lake and then letting it flow down and generate some power that way. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, sir, you are.
And that could actually tap into your feed into your solar grid as well. Is that correct?
It probably wouldn't. It would be utilized more in a storage capacity where we would hold the water, and then during peak hours where we needed to consume electricity, we would utilize the turbine that was creating energy through the flow of water so that we didn't have to utilize electricity from the grid.
Okay.
Trey, this is Peggy. I wanted to just mention perhaps someone that you might consult with. The Composting Gallons Family Farm in Davie County has both a commercial and residential composting business, and Salem College and Home Church use that. That's the facility that they use to compost everything practically that is in use, particularly for meals and things. Even tablecloths.
Okay,
That's
thanks.
such a good point, Peggy. And one thing about especially the younger children, but with all of them, the not having to separate out meat and cheese from vegetables, being able to dump it all in. And if there needs to be funding for that, that's something that it's helpful for folks to know about.
Absolutely. And they might be able to advise you there.
Thanks. And Michael's brother-in-law, I guess that's what John is. He composts like that and builds enough heat in his compost that you can just about put anything in it. It'll compost it. So those are good ideas. Thank you.
Yeah, and they have a pickup service, but I don't think they go to Laurel Ridge though.
Honestly, we've only started recycling cardboard in the last year or two because we are so far out of the way. Nobody will come get
Right.
anything from us.
But
It's hard to find somebody.
On site would be great.
Mhm.
Any other questions for myself or the staff? Not trying to rush anybody. I know we are coming up on the hour.
Art,
Can you tell me how the Friends we still have the Friends Fund, or I don't know what you call it, but
What's the best way to help me answer that, Trey and Michael? Really, we're kind of refocusing our giving into what we've been calling annual gifts. And so, yes, we have not done anything to disband the Friends organization, but we're kind of repurposing what the Friends organization was for and trying to build a foundation of annual giving to Laurel Ridge that we hope will be many times larger than the previous Friends organization. Is that a fair statement, Trey and Michael?
It is. And when I first got here, we had the Friends up, our special friends and the Friends group. But we really, as Art said, we're trying to go beyond those extra gifts, the bus, the inflatables, all those things that they so generously raised money for and brought us stuff to sort of a giving to the ministry of Laurel Ridge. If it's less specific and more generic, and then as needs come up, they can be addressed instantly if we have sort of funds. Again, that's where we had 420 some people this year give $285,000 in the last year, and that really was our Friends giving.
Right, that would have previously been called Friends Giving.
so now you'd have two entities to give: the campaign or the
annual fund. Yes.
Annual giving.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And we're trying to cultivate that mindset of giving to both.
That's right.
Okay.
Both.
Okay.
Have you all have you thought about, or do you promoting the recurring giving platform? Because I think that has worked so well with so many organizations.
Yes, and we're set up to accept recurring gifts now. That
Right.
can be done. You can do that through a credit card or a bank account draft, either one. Teresa Cood is the main individual to contact to get that set up in our office.
Right.
Or anyone on the staff, but she handles that. And yes, so we are set up to receive recurring gifts. I don't know, can you do that when you do the donation online, guys? I don't know. Can you do that yourself now?
Yes.
So if you do set up your own donation online, then you can actually set it up as a recurring gift.
Right. And
Thank you,
promoting
Peggy.
that, I think, is great.
Yes. And I know that we're doing a lot of promotion with that, particularly with the younger generation folks, because those are the folks that we're trying to get to be the next generation. And so we're trying to get them in a habit of giving.
It's also good for the older ones because then we don't forget to give.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
It's also good for the older ones. I heard you, John.
I know. I just said you, Peggy.
I know.
Awesome.
Of course, Teresa may have to help you set it up.
We need all the help we can get.
Yep.
I will be happy to.
She
I
is.
bet you will.
All right. Margaret?
Thank you. Thank you, Art, for setting this up. And thank you, Trey. Thank you, Scarlett. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Teresa. We appreciate all that all of you do, and we know it's a lot. A reminder about the next couple of weeks, Craig Atwood's going to be joining us. Next week, he's going to be talking about the Moravian Lebensloft as a spiritual practice. And the week after that, it'll be the readings for Holy Week and Moravian spirituality. So we look forward to it. And they both will be on Zoom unless you hear otherwise. And Sarah Katona, God bless her, put something up at the top so that if it's not of the website, so if you go to the website to click live stream, you know, she puts it up there so you know exactly what to click in case things change. So thank you. And I'll pass it back to, is it Scarlett? Thank you, friends. And we look forward to joining back together next Wednesday.
Thank you for having us.
Good night.